What's good, y'all? Welcome to Car Devotion. My name is Zach. What you see right here, it's a 2017 Mercedes C300. Now let's get right to it.
Redneck.
Welcome to the channel. Welcome to my very first video. I'm very excited. This is a series that I plan to be having moving forward. You know, every Thursday, Throwback Thursday. Review some of the greatest cars that mankind has made. So before we get into this car, let's do a little history lesson here on the C300. The C-Class story begins in 1982 when Mercedes unveiled the 190 at the Frankfurt Auto Show. It was very Mercedes looking for the time, with its timeless 80s Lego block shape and the light contour lines. The 190 was a compact size sedan, incredibly smaller than its bigger brother S-Class. Known as the Baby Benz, it was designed to be an entry-level luxury car, but also was designed to control overall emissions due to the new strengthened regulations of the Clean Air Act of 1970. The 190 had a 2.0-liter four-banger that produced a sloth-like 190 horsepower. Handling was abysmal by modern standards as well. However, it is still a Mercedes and was packed with the finest luxury materials that made the ride incredibly comfortable. Production ended in 1993, which gave it a legendary 10-year run. The first generation C-Class got its roots from the 190 and evolved from there. Production began in 1993 and it came in two options. You were able to get the C280 or the C220. Both were named after their engine displacements. The C280 had a 2.8-liter inline six that made 195 horsepower, and the C220 used an inline 2.2-liter four-cylinder making 147 horsepower. Both were larger and heavier than the 190, which gave it a bit more of an executive feel. The C-Class was loaded with technology for its time, and it came with driver and passenger airbag, anti-lock brake system, baby smart seats, and side impact airbags. The second generation of the C-Class brought two new body styles for the 2001 model year. The C230 Compressor Sport Coupe, which is a two-door, and the C320 Wagon. The standard C-Class came in two options. The C240, which had a 2.6-liter V6 engine that made 170 horsepower, and the C320 that used a 3.2-liter V6 that made 218 horsepower. A 5-speed automatic transmission was offered in both. Also, this generation had the revolutionary 4MATIC all-wheel drive system. The third generation C-Class was from 2007 to 2014. It received an overhaul in design both on the interior and the exterior. Gone was the old body styles of the 2000s, minimalistic shape and rounded edges. This C-Class was bold and it was sharp. It also had a wheelbase that grew 1.8 inches, which gave it an even sportier look. This generation looked and felt bigger than its predecessors without adding significantly more weight. Mercedes introduced the C300, which is what we have here, in this generation, as it was the mid-tier car with the C250 below it and the C350 above it. And that leads us to this, the fourth generation C-Class. C-Class came with three different options. Right here is the intro level, it's the C300. This right here is a 2.0-liter four-cylinder engine, cranking out 241 horsepower at 273 pounds-feet of torque. One level above that would be the C350. That is a hybrid model. That hybrid model is 275 horsepower. And that is also including with the electric engine. And finally, top tier is the C400, which it comes with 329 horsepower and it comes in a V6. All right, coming inside the car here, one thing I really want to appreciate is just the overall great execution of this interior. You want to talk about a flawless and timeless interior design? This was perfectly executed. Just the simplicity of everything. But yet to still have a presence of luxury. This wood trim right here, I loved it. Obviously it's plastic, but still the character that they brought to having the grain of wood inside. That's a very good touch, a beautiful touch. I love this little dial here. little time dial, little watch. You know, again, to emphasize the luxury, you get the little Mercedes logo on the inside as well. That's quite beautiful. One downside of this interior, unfortunately, a lot of creaking is going on. You know, that's just not acceptable, in especially the name brand of Mercedes. When you're looking at luxury cars, you want everything to be very solid. You know, for example, this dial right here, this infotainment dial, feels very satisfying, very sturdy, Everything's sturdy here. But this creaking is just not acceptable for a car of this nature. All right, next I want to talk about the steering wheel. Not only do I love this steering wheel on an aesthetic standpoint, I just love the way the steering wheel feels in my hand. I can just tell that it's made of some high quality leather. The stitching, you know, impeccable. I also love how Mercedes put these little divots in that allows me to grip it at a very comfortable position. My pinky, index and middle finger, they all will go perfectly into this little slit right here, and it gives me a great amount of confidence when rotating the wheel during high velocity turns. Also, I love how the paddle shifters, they're positioned perfectly. Also, when they rotate with the wheel, I like that as well. A lot of times you'll see the paddle shifters on the column, and you have to basically come back in order to shift to it. So that's well designed, and I like that a lot. Another thing that I love about the steering wheel is just the very minimal amount of buttons placed on the wheel. I'm not a big fan of buttons that have, you know, sometimes 6, 7, 8, sometimes even 10 buttons on the wheel. I think they did a great job. Also, it feels really good to, you know, navigate through the infotainment system through the steering wheel. You know, just push the home button, down. You can go through the radio, the media, navigation. So, you know, you never have to have your hands off the wheel. Another strange thing in this car, just the way you maneuver to the infotainment system. So, for example, Mercedes gives you a dial, right? In order to go right on the infotainment system, you just spin it clockwise. In order to go left, you spin it counterclockwise. That seems to make sense. They also incorporate the ability for the dial to move downwards, so to get to different positions on the infotainment system, and it also can move back upwards, like so. The confusing part about it is they also offer you a little mouse, a touchscreen as well. So if I want to go down on the infotainment system, I just swipe down again. If I want to go back up, swipe up again. The part that doesn't make sense is that both the dial and the mouse operate in the same way. There's not one that has a unique characteristic at all whatsoever, which is very confusing why it's here. Because, you know, this could be used for maybe another cup holder or something. To me, this mouse is a waste of space, or the dial is a waste of space. Whatever Mercedes feels it is most efficient in using the infotainment system, I feel like it doesn't make sense to have both. Personally, I like the dial the best. I feel the dial is easier to maneuver, faster, and a lot more efficient. For me, this mouse, I don't understand why it's in this car. I don't understand why it's part of the infotainment system when the dial does the exact same thing. So one of the biggest quirks and arguably one of the biggest eyesores of this car is this big warning label in the front middle console. I've never seen a label this big and this prominent in a middle console on any stock car I've ever seen in my entire life. Not only is this warning label in the middle console, the warning label is also on the driver's side sun visor and on the passenger side sun visor. It says, "This vehicle is equipped with advanced airbags. Even with advanced airbags, children can be killed or seriously injured by the airbag. The back seat is the safest place for children. Never put a rear-facing child seat in the front. Always use seatbelt child restraint." In my opinion, I think it's a little overkill, the fact that you have 3 warning labels that all mean the same thing on 3 different locations just in the front part of the car. But hey, maybe these airbags are that advanced. Not only is there creaking in the front of the console, but there's also creaking right here in the middle console on the armrest. And right here, I think this is damn near an abomination. This is ridiculous. You know, this is a Mercedes. Now, this is supposed to be a top of the line, high production car. You know, not a Rolls Royce, but still, like, this is supposed to be a Mercedes. This is something that can really stain the brand. You know, I mean, creaking where your arm goes. I mean, think about it, every time you driving down the highway. All right, arm gets sore, creak. That's absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe that. My 2005 Highlander doesn't even have this. Wow, that is terrible. I am blown away. Like, how can I have a Mercedes, right? I'm a dog, I'm a CEO. I'm gonna lay back, creak, creak, creak. Man, that is, wow. That is terrible. Anyway, that's probably the biggest flaw of the car so far. Luckily, that's not, I guess, an aesthetic issue. That's, I guess, more of a immersive issue. But still, regardless, wow. I could forgive the creaking in the center console because most of the time we're not going to be touching this. But when you rest in your arm and you hear that creak, that is ridiculous. That is, I hope for the newer generation models that they fix this, because that's absolutely ridiculous. An additional perk to this car is also just the overall amount of storage space present. You got this netting down here that you can store, iPad, books, phone, whatever. You also got this glove box right here, a little underwhelming in size, but definitely enough to fit the documents that you need. You also got a cup holder compartment here. These cup holders can fit 2 full-size glasses. If you're not in a cup holder type of vibe, you're able to easily just take it out, and store it wherever you want. Compartment there, back seat, trunk, whatever. And when you're back in, just put it in place, flip the switch down, nice and sturdy, ready to go. We also got a cigarette lighter here and an ashtray as well. That's a very nice bonus. Moving to the middle console storage area. Very, very, very spacious. You've got 2 USB chargers. You can charge, your Apple phone or Android, or your headphones. You also got an SD card in here. I'm not sure what that's for. Maybe you could plug it in to see, performance of the car, maybe, possibly. Also got a nice little strap right here in case you don't want things, bobbling around while you drive. So that is a very nice touch. The only biggest downside, well, other than this creaking, is also it's a pain in the ass to connect your phone. I've been trying to do this now for 10 minutes. It wasn't working wirelessly. Then I plugged it into the USB slot. It says it wants to activate device. Activating device, please wait. Waiting. Still waiting. So yeah, in general, this car is incredibly difficult to connect my phone to. And I'm saying that in the perspective of someone who has never driven this car before. I've only been in this car maybe 3 or 4 times. I connected it one time, like my first time, it worked fine, but now it's not letting me connect for some reason. So yeah, incredibly challenging to connect the phone. I don't know why. I'm guessing maybe once you can connect it, it could just automatically connect, but I don't know why my phone's not connecting, unfortunately. But what I wanted to show you for the bit that I was going to show you next was the amazing Burmeister speakers that come with this car. So C300 is equipped with 13 Burmeister speakers throughout the front and the back, as well as a 600-watt amplifier to power all the speakers throughout the car. Each individual speaker has its own aluminum grille plating, and all these combined is to give it the most optimal concert experience within the interior of the car. Another quirk of this car, located on the ceiling, push this SOS button one time, it pulls the plastic down and reveals the big red button. This button resembles something that you'd see in a fighter jet or on a nuclear launch button. Obviously, don't push that unless it's an emergency, but still, I think it's a very nice touch and nice quirk to the interior of this car. So one of the unique characteristics of this car is dynamic mode. And what dynamic mode allows me to do is pick between 4 different settings to change the overall driving experience of this car. So it doesn't matter if we're parked or driving, we can pick between all these different modes. So I'm going to push up on it. It gives me the option of Eco, Comfort, Sport, and Sport Plus. Now obviously if we want to unleash the full capability of this car's 4-cylinder engine, we obviously want to go into Sport Plus. And what that will do, it's going to allow me to get better gear timing, better gear ratios. It's going to stiffen the suspension. It's going to lower the height. It's just going to be an overall more fun experience. Also will unlock the ability for me to use the paddle shifters. So I can feel like, I'm in a Need for Speed game. I think these paddle shifters are hilarious, especially in this type of car. One thing that Mercedes does incredibly well in the interior of their vehicles is the ability to immerse you in the concept of luxury. for example, the beautiful wooden trimmings going all the way up into the infotainment system, the gorgeous piano black covering all of the accessory buttons, this Rolex-like timepiece in the front console, just the overall ability just to feel like I can just relax. You know, it's quiet, and I'm a Mercedes. It's quiet. The dampering effects is amazing. Just the overall just ability just to feel like I can just loaf. I can be lazy. It's a Mercedes. You know, life is hectic. You know, just even the small little things like the glove box slowly coming down, like the sunglasses storage compartment slowly will come down. Slowly, everything is gonna come up slowly. This is a Mercedes. Life is hectic. When you're in a Mercedes, time to relax. You know what I mean? Now, I have a 2005 Highlander. My storage compartment, open it, boom. You know what I mean? Cup compartment, boom. Hear plastic rattling, boom. Everything's just loud. In a Mercedes, it's time to relax. Be a little lazy. You work hard. You earn this. It's a Mercedes. You know what I mean? And Mercedes has been killing this for the past 30 years. Just this ability just to feel like you own the road, All right, I'm gonna demonstrate me trying to get in the back of the car. Keep in mind, this is a coupe, this is a sports car, so not meant for 4 people, not really meant to get in the back, but we're gonna do it anyway. It's pretty self-explanatory. Gonna pull this silver lever right here, get it, there we go. Then the electronics take care of the rest. It's gonna bring the seat up all the way as close as it can to the steering wheel, for the most, optimal position for me to get inside. So we're gonna wait for that. All right, I think that's good enough. Now keep in mind, I'm 5'9", 5'10" on a good day. Okay, hold on. There we go. All right, and then put the seat back, and then it's gonna come back. Like I said, I'm 5'10" on a very, very good day. So I'd assume I'm considered. Damn! Oh! Yeah, it was about to squish me. So it was about to squish me, but then I think the seat felt that and moved a little bit forward. So like I said, 5'10" on a good day. So ideally, I feel like Mercedes would try to build this car for someone of my height, because I think I'm considered average, possibly maybe 6 feet average. I'm not quite sure. But even if they did try building it for someone like my height, they definitely failed because my legs are definitely cramped. Not comfortable at all whatsoever. I think I could probably go maybe like 20 miles in this before I start cramping. But I mean, it's still beautiful back here. You got these nice tweeter speakers. Still great leather. But just not comfortable, not enough space. But we're gonna try to get out of here. Push this all the way up. It's gonna move all the way forward again. All right. Definitely don't feel cool doing this. And we out. Just like that. Now, as I stated before, the C-Class traditionally comes in a 4-door sedan. Now, how Mercedes combated this to give it its obvious coupe shape is it lowered the roofline 1.5 inches and it sloped it to the rear of the car at a very drastic rate. Now, because of this arch and these body lines going through the top and the bottom, it gives it this free-flowing state. The car looks like it's always in motion. And because of that, it almost gives it a natural appearance of aggression as well, but not in the way that we see in a lot of the traditional modern cars. And for example, you see the Honda Civic, the new modern Honda Civic, got lots of cuts, divots, lots of sharp angles to produce aggression. This produces aggression in a whole different type of manner. All right, next thing I'd like to talk about is the doors, and specifically the door handles. I love the way this door handle feels. It feels actually like legitimate real chrome, not that like spray on stuff that wears over time. Also incorporated within the door handle, just one simple touch, locks the doors, mirrors go in, very simple. Specifically why I like this door and why I think it's nostalgic, a lot of new modern cars incorporate the door handle within the body panel. So, the car will sense you coming up to it and it'll pop right out. For me, I'm not a big fan of that. I love the ability just to be able to grip the door and just pop it open. Another pro to this door is just the weightiness to it. I love the weightiness. It feels, again, high quality. Feels like all this stuff is very sturdy. And when you close it, no major rattling. You don't hear plastic clinking together. You just hear, the latches coming together. And again, that just emphasizes the quality of this car. All right, moving to the engine bay. The C300 is equipped with a 2-liter inline-4 turbocharged engine that makes about 241 horsepower and 273 pound-feet of torque. One of the pros of having an engine like this is the fuel economy. Overall fuel economy average is about 27 miles per gallon, 31 highway, 24 city. That's a big benefit in having a car like this. One of the better everyday drivers. Also, another benefit to the drivetrain of this car: 7-speed automatic transmission, as well as the 4MATIC Mercedes system, which is the all-wheel drive system that Mercedes has engineered. Now, what makes this the most ideal everyday driver, especially in a state like Minnesota, is that 4MATIC drive system to prevent slippage and get as much traction as possible. However, one of the cons of this car, with having such a small engine with such a small displacement, produces, let's just say, not the most thrilling exhaust sound. I'll let you listen to that right now. And that underwhelming exhaust sound just emphasizes the theme of this car. This car is marketed to the individual, just the everyday type of driver, the type of individual who gets off from work, wants to get in their car, relax, sit in traffic, and just get home, continue their day. This is not a car meant for an enthusiast like myself. But what this tells me is that these paddle shifters, Sport Plus, the Sport options, the dynamic mode, that's all a gimmick, because I can't tell a difference between comfort mode and the Sport Plus, especially when it comes to exhaust. There definitely is a suspension increase. The suspension does tighten up a little bit in Sport Plus, but all in all, it's not a dramatic enough experience for me to make it worthwhile. And I really wish that Mercedes would have increased the exhaust noise, made the turbocharger a little louder, hear that little swoosh noise, especially in Sport Plus. I think they really missed the ball on this one. We're talking about a car that goes 0 to 60 in 6.2 seconds, which is, by modern standards, and by a car with this kind of body style and a 2-door coupe, is horrendous when it comes to speed. Doing the quarter mile in 14.7 seconds at only 94 miles an hour. So again, this is by far not a fast car, and that's what Mercedes intended it to be. This is a car, again, like I said, just for the individuals who are not enthusiasts, who just want to have a nice car, nice interior, to go from work back to home, just a daily commuter, to have that luxury feel. All right, man, driving the C300. Coming into this, I didn't expect to get blown away by like horsepower. Well, because of horsepower, I didn't expect to get blown away. I mean, this thing's only making 240 horsepower, which is pretty close to what my Highlander makes. But I mean, obviously it's gonna be a little bit more responsive. And it's got Sport Plus mode and everything like that. But I was really more concerned about the handling, what the handling would be like. And driving for a day or two now, I can say that, obviously in comfort mode, it's comfort mode. So it's gonna be a little loose in the steering, but once you put the dynamics on, put it in Sport Plus, I'm not gonna lie, man, the suspension is very stiff, very little body roll, and I feel very confident when steering this car. Unfortunately, car devotion right now, we ran dry on money, so I can't give you the full view you need to see what I'm looking at on these corners that I be hitting sometimes. But the suspension is very tight in this car, most definitely. I'm very surprised, especially for a non-AMG car, definitely. And when driving around, it doesn't seem like there's too much of a difference between Sport and Sport Plus. I think they just add Sport, as like a little gimmick to make it look like there's more options when there really isn't. All right, coming on to a highway entrance right now. We got it in Sport Plus. Put the flappy pedal gearbox on, floor it, and it is a very uninspiring 80-mile-an-hour push. It's just not a fast car, Driving the C300 was a very soothing experience. The ride quality felt as though I was driving on some fluffy clouds. To maximize the ride quality, I would highly recommend the air suspension package for this car. Even though it may cost you some reliability long term, it is well worth the sacrifice for the impact that it gives. Finally, we need to talk about value. You are able to find many great deals on these cars due to the massive amount produced. You can find many of these cars easily under $25,000 with only 50,000 miles. And at that price point, for a coupe, for the amount of technology present and the quality of materials on the interior, I have to rate this a 9 out of 10 for the value on the used market, without question.